Verse 446. There are three emancipations, and in all things there is no ego substance. Knowledge and passions are of the same nature. When one is emancipated, they are discarded. In first reading this verse, it might seem that it's a little bit disjointed, but it actually flows quite nicely. Beginning with the three emancipations. We normally talk of emancipation or liberation, but here it's three emancipations. And this relates back to what is known as the Wheel of Life, or the Bhava Chakra. And I've mentioned this before in certain contexts about the links, the nidanas, which keep us in bondage. At the very heart of this wheel, though, are three elements. They're normally depicted by three animals: a pig, snake, and a bird, perhaps a cockerel. And they are what keep the whole thing rotating. They keep all of samsara rotating. They keep us in bondage to samsara, to delusion. So there are three factors keeping the whole wheel going, the whole cycle of samsara going. And the triple emancipation is emancipation from these three factors. And the first factor is delusion, which is represented by the pig. But what is this delusion that the pig is rooting around in? Well, as far as the Lankavatara Sutra is concerned, it's the delusion of an external world. And the pig is rooting around in this, digging up things which are painful and pleasurable. And it's attached to both. And these two other factors, painful and the pleasurable, are represented by the snake and the bird. The snake is sometimes described as representing anger or aversion, and you can just imagine the snake rearing up and spitting, ready to attack. There are things we do not like because they're painful, unpleasant, threatening, and yet we can be quite addicted to things we don't like our bad moods. We hang on to them. Things like our resentments, our hurts. I've been hurt, I hang on to that. Our jealousies, our fears, our anxieties, our insecurities. We are constantly stoking them. We are constantly getting our back up and spitting. So this is the snake. The bird, or the cockerel, is always looking for a female to connect with. It preens itself, struts around, and then makes its move. So this is desire. This represents desire, the opposite tendency to aversion. Aversion, anger, hatred keeps things away, or attempts to, even though we're attached to them. And desire is about trying to get these things that we want. If only we had this, then we'd be happy. I'm in quite an interesting position at the moment. Past 5 or 6 months have been quite difficult. I've had quite a lot on my plate. Not only that, it's been winter, been quite a difficult winter. Cold, dark, and I've not been feeling very good. My body's not been behaving itself. Both my head and body have been under a lot of pressure. But circumstances have changed. It's now springtime. I've completed all my academic commitments, so I'm now free of that. And I'm going to be visiting the Holy Island in Scotland, which is one of my favourite places. And I'll visit my brother and some friends in Scotland, so that'll be nice. So everything right now is fine, even my body. There's some medication I can take for it which frees me up considerably. but the mental habit of being stressed still remains. But I can observe it. I notice how, especially when I'm lying in bed at night or in the morning, or when I've woken up in the night and my mind starts focusing on things, it becomes quite apparent. It's quite apparent. I can see the knot of tension and emotion, and it's actually relatively easy to let go of now. I can just come back to the breathing, something very vital which is always there, and enjoy the rhythm of the breathing, like lying on the beach listening to the rhythm of the sea. So the habits still remain, even though the circumstances which justified these habits have gone. So anyway, this is desire to always hankering after something for various reasons, but even when you get that thing, the feelings are still there, or they move on to something else. So we've got this dynamic going on. We discriminate things we don't like, we discriminate things we like. There's an emotional impetus of aversion and desire, and this fuels the delusion of an external world which can satisfy us somehow. So triple emancipation is being free from this, and we become free by being aware of these three factors, and by working through these verses which challenge our assumption that there's a physical, material world which actually contains things in it, or situations which are desirable or not. And as the verse says, in all things there is no ego substance. So this is how it describes the insubstantiality of the world. There's nothing in it. There's nothing in it to be hateful towards, or to be covetous of. Knowledge and passions are of the same nature. And knowledge and passions are the mind and feelings. These are the habit energy of our moods. The emotions fuel the thoughts fuel the emotions. This is knowledge and passions. These are the result of identifying with an external physical world. when one is emancipated, these are discarded. I sometimes talk about stepping back from these moods, from knowledge and passions, from understanding and passions, from understanding and emotions. We can bypass them. We observe them. And in observing, we've got the beginning of bypassing them. The uncomfortable feelings will still remain, but we can actually stop the thoughts which fuel them. And so the uncomfortable feelings will still remain, perhaps for quite a while. This is what I called, think back in video 229, I called it the dark night of the soul. There's some very deep, uncomfortable feelings which we just have to let be. That's our cold turkey. We stop fueling them with our thoughts. We stop being attached to our pain. We discard such thoughts. We step back from the feelings. We come back to our own fundamental sense of being. And in this, there is emancipation.